Welcome to LIS 212, Indigenous Knowledge Management. Today's lesson will discuss briefly the concept of Indigenous Knowledge Management. So let's get to class. Welcome to LIS 212, Indigenous Knowledge Management. My name is Ayla Kugona. I'm your facilitator for this course. The essence of the course is to create the awareness of importance of Indigenous knowledge management to library and information science. So for today's lesson, we will briefly discuss the concept of Indigenous knowledge management. At the end of this class, we should be able to define the term Indigenous knowledge, explain the concept of Indigenous knowledge, and also be able to differentiate between Indigenous knowledge and Indigenous knowledge management. But before we start off with today's lecture, let us attempt this question. So were you able to define the term Indigenous knowledge? What do you think it means? Indigenous. Indigenous could be referred to as being local, traditional, not Western. In other words, we can say an Indigenous knowledge is the local knowledge that is unique or peculiar to a particular set of people, group, or culture. This type of knowledge, since it is local, is usually passed from a generation, which are the elders, to another generation, the younger ones, through the word of mouth, or you could say orally. Some Indigenous knowledge can also be transferred through cultural rituals. Take for instance, every tribe has its unique knowledge they pass down to their younger generations. Like the Yorubas, they have the traditional music we all call the Fuji. It is not everyone that can play the talking drum. It is the elderly ones that teaches the younger ones, whom seems to be interested in the playing of the talking drum, on how to play. Now let's discuss the Indigenous knowledge management. This we can say involves some steps in the management of the local knowledge, which we call the Indigenous knowledge. These steps are identification, collection, codification, documenting, organizing, preservation, transfer, the dissemination, and as well as the sharing of the knowledge on the indigenous community. When a knowledge is being identified in a particular community, that is the first step. You identify the knowledge. As the knowledge is identified, you collect it. You code it. Then comes the documentation of the knowledge. After which you organize the knowledge, you find a way of preserving it. Then the transfer of that particular knowledge, the dissemination, and also the sharing of the knowledge. To manage the Indigenous knowledge is quite not easy. It still has too many issues, such as the issue of inadequate awareness for the Indigenous knowledge available in a particular community. The local community, who are the owners of the knowledge, they need to benefit from their creation and not for them to be marginalized. So in order to create the awareness of the knowledge in that particular community, it is better and advisable for one to create adequate awareness of that knowledge being available in that particular community, so that when tourists comes to the particular village or particular locality in order to research, as they are researching, the people, the owner of the indigenous knowledge, will also benefit from their visitation. It is important to manage the available knowledge in a locality. Indigenous knowledge, if managed properly, provides a sense of belonging between the community. Now, let us take a look at the next slide and attempt the question. So, do you think we have any indigenous knowledge in Nigeria? If your answer is yes, which one of them do you know? And how can you, as a library and information science student, help in its management? You can send your response to my email, which I will provide the address at the end of this class. So today we have achieved today's task. We can now define indigenous knowledge, we can explain its concept, and as well as differentiate between indigenous knowledge and indigenous knowledge management. If you have any question or you need more clarification on today's topic, you can send me an email via vilaku@noun.edu.ng. My name is still Ailaku Ugonna. For now, it's bye-bye till our next class.